Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Conversations powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and IBG Indian Business Group. Today's topic is DLP and Audits 10 Things I Wish I Knew Early. And today's theme is the emerging cybersecurity profession. Today with us, we have Latha Sunderkrishnan. Latha Sunderkrishnan has over 2 decades of industry experience in IT core competencies, including managing projects for information security, risk management, IT Act compliance, data leak prevention, regulatory audits, and vendor management. She has held various leadership positions in software projects, quality assurance and management, customer support, testing, release management. She has excellent communication and presentation skills, and more than a decade of experience in training students in information security and IT. We welcome you aboard, ma'am, for this beautiful conversation that we're going to have today. All right.
Thank you, Mansoor, yes, for this lovely introduction. So you can start with the conversation. Yes.
All right, ma'am. So then we always know, like, since I had this conversation with you in the past with the phone, you have more than 25 years of experience. So what challenges have you faced as a woman in this working in this profession?
Okay, so there are actually fewer women security professionals currently, and it was very difficult to change views and myths. So cybersecurity is all about trust, right?
Okay.
So you want to convince people and get that trust. So therefore, establishing credentials was very difficult, and it is very tough and challenging. But however, if you look at compared to other industries in IT or technology, you will find that there are more women now. Right? Today, there are more women. When I started, of course, it was few, but now it has increased. But however, there are very few successful women who are at the top in the industry. So these are like the challenges that normally as a woman you face. And other challenges are, of course, time management and managing the house staff. Then also the deliverables and ensuring that, the deliverables are on time and establishing the credentials. So that is very difficult to do. But over a period of time, of course, you need to overcome that. And so to some extent, yes, I have overcome. So basically, with the help of time management, training, updating my skills, learning, and also with various professional associations, and having a disciplined manner in which you work with. So all this has helped me overcome the challenges.
Okay, we will definitely talk about the discipline part later on towards the end of this conversation, because that is something that our viewers would definitely want to know. All right. Moving on to the next question, ma'am. So how was your initial days when you were a startup entrepreneur?
So like I told you again, initially it is challenging to establish your credentials, right? Initially when you start. And so you are looking at, there are no borrowings and you are a self-funded startup. So therefore, either one way is to invest heavily and go for that and look for funding. And the other thing is that you look for professional associations with various people who are already, maybe established. And then you try to establish your credibility in the market. So that is a strategy that I applied. So therefore I associated with myself with various people, and therefore my business was never in red. Though initially profits were low, and slowly over the period of time, so credentials were established, and so now I can see that the future is now bright, and you have like several options now with more and more, we know the needs that is the industry has with cybersecurity needs across the world.
All right. As you're saying that the needs are growing, so the IT field is also getting bigger and wider, okay, in India. So what do you think is coming for the next generation, and how much of it is going to improve?
So I have started like 28 years back, my career in IT.
Okay.
So it's a long journey, and that was pre-internet times. So there were only, yes. So there were only two operating systems at that time. One was like DOS, which was a disk operating system, and Unix. But so from there on, I have seen how it has grown. So initially, so there was a Silicon Valley at California, and then slowly, we could see the Silicon Valley moving to Bangalore.
Okay.
But however, now you see various IT hubs across India in various metros, like, you have Pune and Hyderabad also, which are also IT hubs. And the number of engineering colleges, which has grown very rapidly in India. And so therefore, you have many software professionals who are around. So that has also increased. And again, with COVID, so it has necessitated the digital transformation, right? Across various industries. So the needs are also different of various organizations. And you can see the IT has grown in verticals like BFSI, pharma, manufacturing, which we never had any IT, so many years back. So all that has also grown. And if you see in India, there are almost 95% of the people use smartphone.
Right.
So therefore, internet is something that you cannot do without. Everyone has a Wi-Fi, and you have to, and all your data is on your fingertips. So the data has to be very precise, and IT is improving every day. And it is so the world has become a smaller place. And if you look at even IT, you can't just call, like earlier we just had, the software was an industry, but now that has also changed. You have machine learning, then data analytics, forensics, then information security is one. So various fields within IT, and businesses are enabled through IT in using different types. That's how it is working. So the strategy is not like IT is never a support function now.
Right.
So you have business strategy and IT strategy today, right? And again, that has to be depends on the short-term goals and the long-term goals of the organization. So you'll have to also change rapidly now with coming, with 5G that is coming in. Mm-hmm. So again, that also changes, the perspective changes here. So everything earlier was micro-managed. So whereas now you find that processes are all IT enabled. For example, timesheet, for example. Now earlier you used to go sign in, have a register and used to sign. But now that is also technologically driven.
Yes, it is.
Let's have the app. So with the app, wherever you are, your location is tracked, and you punch in your attendance. So that's how it is. And again, the salaries or the remunerations were far lesser. Now that has also changed in India. It is much, with the inflation, that has also rapidly changed. And you can see a lot of improvement everywhere for in technology. So if you see today, the share of IT is around in GDP 7.4%. Okay. Yeah. And this industry has grown by 8.3 CAGR. Though, of course, that is also not so big, but it is proposed to grow much more in 2025. That is what has been projected. And if you see that this is, so government is also helping around. You have they're coming out with, they are liberalized with the loans and all that. And you have a lot of SEZ parks, IT parks across India. Mm-hmm. So government is also giving a lot of incentives to IT companies. So that is the kind of progress that we have done. I also read something recently that in December 2022, the number of UPI transactions was a record of 782 crores.
Yes, I've read that too.
Yeah, you read that also, right? And the amount that the value was around 12.8 lakh crores. So that is the number of transactions. So you can see what is the growth here in India like. So how it has evolved over the period of years. So basically, from a supportive function, it has become an enabler of the modern business.
Long way to go for us, I would say, ma'am. For that, like the IT sector in India is growing rapidly.
It's growing rapidly, but yes, we still have a long way to go.
Yes,
And
definitely.
so they are projecting, I don't know, let's see how it grows more. With so many, laws and other things that will coming up. So hopefully it will grow soon.
Fingers crossed on that. All right. Moving on to the next question. We cannot deny the fact that you have come a long way. Okay, like 28 years in this field and things. So where does your success lies, and what has been the struggles behind it? Any golden tips that you could give us when it comes to communication, presentation, or how can we just get our skills brush?
So today, in today's world, it's very important. Communication and presentation is, you have to be very clear and concise, and with clarity that you have to present, right? So that is very, very important. And so basically, if you look at organizations, so they send their staff for a specific communication related training. So this was never there earlier. If you see, like we all learned on the job with our experiences. That's how we learned. And so now you also have, like, see, even communicating has also transformed digitally. So
Right.
like how we are communicating through Zoom or, Google Meet. So that is the way of communication, and it has become part of our lives today. So I have interacted with clients across the world. I have interacted with various types of clients, various verticals and global clients. And so when you are developing software also, so when you interact with client, I'll give you an example of creating a requirements document.
Okay.
So the requirements document has to be very detailed. It has to come out clearly what is expected out of the client. The client will also agree upon it. So then the requirement is produced, the document, right? So this is, then your software is built upon the requirement document. So therefore, if you're so the document itself is not clear enough, so this obviously the software will fail.
Yes.
Yes. So you have to be present the facts so that your software does not collapse. So that is how it is important. And another thing that I also started my career with training. So that has also helped me a lot. So I train various type of audiences, and in order to be in training, what happens is you have to understand from the audience perspective. The needs are different for various people, and the various so therefore you have to understand where they come from, and that's how you have to present. So that again, so you have to communicate with them. You have to be very good at your communication so that you can impart skills to them, what you want to do. So that has also helped me in training. And I currently also, or even otherwise, I'm doing and I've done a lot of different types of audits.
Okay.
So for audits, of course, you have to present even to the board, and the report findings have to be clear. So because based on this, they identify the risk and implement the controls, right, in organizations.
Right.
So I would say you have to look where you are and where you want to be. So that's how you have to look the strategic growth here, and understand for clients, you have to understand their pain points and accordingly implement as per their needs. So you have to look at short-term and long-term goals, both. So you cannot excel instantly. It is never a skill that you will learn, instantly, but you improve steadily. So it's like a slow and steady improvement that happens. So you look at where you are and where you want to be.
Right.
Another thing that I do is I don't compare with others. Never. I always compare with myself. So that's one formula that I apply. So I always compare where I am and where I will be and how I can improve further. So that's what I do, and that is the way of improvement. Whereas not to compare with others. So you compare yourself only. And skill polishing. So that is one thing you have to do. Learn training. discuss with people, interact, so all these things are important to improve your communication and presentation.
Definitely, ma'am, you've given a whole long list for everyone to finally go ahead and do all these things, and they will definitely bloom in their careers. Definitely.
Yes, so that's important, that how you go about it.
Definitely. Okay, ma'am, moving on to the next question. You have a hand-on experiencing in designing and deploying integrated security frameworks that address the risk spectrum for people and the process. On the process of technology. How does such work encourage you? Like for me, even to read that sentence to you or to ask you the question is so difficult. I just wonder how difficult it may be for you and how it's so encouraging that you have yet been in this field.
So basically, when you're talking about designing and deploying integrated security frameworks, which address the risk of people, process, and technology. So this is all put together always. And this is actually very interesting. So you'll have to, I'll explain how. So this means you have to understand the business and the technology movement. Earlier, it was like IT was always a support function, like I told you,
right.
But now it is not so. So all businesses are engaged now in digital transformation, right?
Yeah,
we know that. So how do you? So there are three parts to it. So people are a very important factor of all organizations. So people need to be trained, they need to be motivated, they need to be encouraged, and you need to augment them and understand in various business channels that are there, right, in the organization. So therefore, you need to involve them and you need to help training. So they are a very important part of the business and they also need to grow along with the business. So therefore you have to identify risks for people, so we do ensure that there are background checks, there are reference checks of people, logs are maintained. So there are all these things are very important for people, right? Then processes you should have. So most of these organizations, they are either certified. They're either ISO certified or they have COVID frameworks, or they are, BCI certified and so on. BCP certified, that is ISO 22301. So therefore, process is also an integral part of your business, right? So
right.
And you are people dependent. Processes means that you are more disciplined and you're not dependent on staff. Right. So as a security professional, we ensure that all these processes are in place. Like you have segregation of tasks. Then you ensure there is a configuration management, reviews are happening, change management is there. So various processes are necessary in the organization. Similarly, technology again. So that is the third part in this integration that we are talking about. So technology also, you are looking at short term and long term. And so the policies and the processes, they also tie up to the technology. What is the technology that you're looking at? And so negative technology, I mean, something that, scouts for a smart one will be something like that will scout for the negative behavior, or it will look your log movement, so that there is corrective action all the time. So you do the corrective action, and research and innovation is also very important in an organization. Mm-hmm. So therefore, this covers all the three risk spectrums, which are very interesting, like I explained. So when you interact with clients, so each business is different. Right. The needs of each business is also different. Again, like I interact with smaller clients, who are like startups, or large clients. So therefore, their perspective and how much they would like to invest is also different. So you have to understand that also. Where are they coming from and what is their budget? And based on that, you have to devise what they need and meet their expectations. So all this makes it very interesting to understand what are the risks on people, process, and technology. And of
Okay.
course, it is not possible to implement everything at one go. So there is a plan that is involved here. You have a roadmap and ensure that so the roadmap is met with each implementation, which is done progressively. So that is what we are looking at over a period of time. So for example, so there is also resistance here for change. So sometimes, in old organizations, you will find that people are there for longer years. And they feel, why we are trusted people and why do we need to go in for this kind of a change?
Mm-hmm.
But technology does not trust you.
It doesn't.
Not factor in that. So maybe, they have access over in the organization everywhere, but you cannot give them that access. You'll have to restrict that. You'll have to revoke that access. So that's how you'll have to work with the culture of the people also. So that is also very important when you play and when you implement such a thing. So these are all these things. So therefore, it is when you talk about integrated means, so it looks at the integrated framework here for looking at the risk across people, process, and technology.
All right. Well, that was very beautifully explained, ma'am. All right. Moving on to the next question. Okay. Could you tell us what are the regulators for audits and vendor management?
Okay. So regulatory needs. So these are compliance based.
Okay.
So mostly the BFSI sector. So their regulators ensure that they have certain regulatory audits which they have to meet, and they are time bound.
Okay.
So these are basically in they are either IT related audits or they are investment related audits or cybersecurity related audits, and these are so the regulators are like RBI, SEBI, IRDA, or NSE, BSE, and all that. So these are directed from them, and these are supposed to be mandatory and complied with. So that is the regulatory audit. But whereas, so that is one part that the company has to manage. And the other part is your vendors. So today, vendors are essential part of your business, right? So they are also an extended arm, a vendor. So managing vendor is also very important. And this is also a part of regulatory circulars and insights.
Okay.
Yeah. So outsourcing, so there are norms for outsourcing regulations that you need to follow. So vendor management, it starts right from inception, right from you identify what are your needs, then identify the vendor. So you need to do a due diligence, look at their financial review, look whether they are having BCP, that is business continuity processes, look at their capabilities. You may also have references from them, personally visit their offices to see, where they are located, and then onboard the vendors with whatever processes that you have. And again, you need to scrutinize them, have a contract in place, an agreement, look at their services, what they are offering, and see that whether they are maintaining the service. So that is again, you have to look at weekly reporting, how they are managing the services, give them feedback, or even do a third-party audit. So you understand. So this is a full life cycle that you have. So that's why it's called vendor management, and so you need to identify what are the risks that they hold, right? And it's also partnering with the right vendor, and you have the right stakeholder with you. So they ensure that they are strategically, at a lower cost. However, the quality is not, the quality is met at the same time. So that's what you are trying to see. So therefore, you need to have a careful selection and management so that it is beneficial for your organization and your business strategy, and the quality is well maintained.
All right. Okay. Moving on to the next question. What precautions does one have to take from data breaches, leakages via email and text over on the IT infrastructure?
So email is one part that you have to manage, because many businesses work only on email.
Definitely they do, yes.
Right? That's what. So therefore email is something that it's very important to secure your email. So one is that I would suggest the following is, one is that you have an individual ID. You do not have like a shared ID, and of course you have a password, and of course you follow the password policy for the same. So whatever password policy that you have in your organization, you need to ensure that for the email also it is maintained. Then you also ensure that there is a multi-factor authentication to ensure that the authenticity is maintained for the email. Then of course you have a DMARC, that is the domain based message authentication, where you ensure that the emails are coming from the right domain, and you have URL filtering, so that you reduce your phishing attacks, right? And also you have your attachments are scanned for any malware. So, and similarly, when you're sending email also to your clients, you ensure DLP, that is data leak protection. You don't send to anyone. You only ensure that you send to the right sender. Then your attachments are password protected, and there is no virus or malicious software that is there in your email, and you do not connect to any unknown network generally. So these are some precautions that you will take, and your emails are encrypted, because now most of the emails are in cloud server. So encryption is again a part of the maybe the vendor itself is taking care of that, right? Whereas IT infrastructure, most of the people are on cloud now. Either they are using Amazon AWS services or Microsoft or Azure. That's what they are using, most of the people. So for infrastructure, you need to ensure regular VAPT testing, that is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This has to be very regularly done, so that you don't ensure that there are not many attacks. You try to prevent, right? And you have patch management in place. You are always on the right version of your server. You have a firewall in place, and for your application also you have a WAF, a web application firewall, and you ensure that you have MFA in place when you connect with the password, of course. And for remotely also, I would suggest using VPN wherever to connect. Of course, it depends upon, all these things are cost factored. It will depend upon the type of work that you do. So these are like, it would depend upon the organization culture also, like I told you, to have these in place. Then also log. So there are monitoring of logs and ensuring that there are alerts set up, so that you are aware if there is any malicious attack or any something that, which is not normal. So you have an alert that comes in. And of course, backups. BCP is very good, so that, if anything is not working. Recently, of course, we saw that, right? Microsoft suddenly, Azure was not working for a long time. So you have a backups wherein, you continue to work. So that is very important to ensure all these things.
All right. Okay. Moving on to the next question. So we have all heard the term metadata, like metadata is this, metadata is that. So we want to understand what is metadata and how harmful it is for a company, if we ever have a metadata breach. If you could just shed some light for us on this particular question.
So what is metadata? It is nothing but a pointer to the actual database. My actual database is lying somewhere in the server, but I have to point it. So how do I do that? I use my credentials. So basically it is more of personal information. Nowadays, you log in using a mobile number and your OTP is generated. So basically it is more on, so it is the superficial data, right? That could be to the actual broader data of the organization. So therefore you have to obviously prevent metadata breach, and that is very important here. And now with the Privacy Act that is coming up, so you will have legislative fines also. So encryption is one way that you need to implement in order to secure your metadata.
Okay.
So therefore you need to have a very good user authentication places in place, and also penetration testing. Regular penetration testing would help.
Okay, Latha, you have held like many leadership positions in like software projects, quality assurance, testing, release management, like as you have mentioned. Did any of this leadership somehow help you in any other conditions of your lifetime?
So basically, I started out as a in training, and
Okay.
so in software, and then I went on to do managing network. Okay, and then I moved to software development,
Okay.
and yes, so and including managing softwares. Okay, right from requirements to execution, and then I switched to compliances and process and QA and releases. So I did everything around IT. You can say, like, all functions. So obviously this has helped me understand risks in every area. So I never said no to any kind of a role. I
Okay.
happily moved. So I learned the entire SDLC, right from requirement to coding, testing, managing, and so on. And understanding so in releases, you understand, you maintain schedules, ensure that releases are on time, manage clients, and you also manage the infrastructure. So these are, so you learn in each and every role has helped me learn a lot and gained experience. So therefore so today it has helped me in my a lot in my work that I do, and
Okay.
gained a lot of leadership positions. So now today when I'm doing audit, right? So I am at ease. So I can understand business and technology, because having faced various types of clients, also different types of clients in different areas of businesses, like manufacturing or FMCG, retail, and IT software companies, and understanding people, process, technology. It always comes down to that. So this has helped me a lot in covering all aspects and various clients across the globe, not just clients in India, but across the globe. So all this past experience that I have is helping me a lot in offering solutions to solve the problems of clients.
All right. Okay. So this is the question that will always will be asked by many of the people who will be viewing this later on. You like being a part of a community forum, like as you are also part of a community forum like CyberFrac and other forums as this, how it has helped you personally grow or professionally?
Yeah, so I'm also involved in ISACA and CyberFrac. This has really helped a lot. So they conduct a lot of trainings, webinars, and conferences. So these are forums where it's a knowledge learning center where you gain from others' perspective who are also professionals in this field. And this keeps you helps updated with whatever is the latest happenings that are there around, and it also helps you in networking. So these are very important in your career.
All right. What advice would you like to give to the Gen Z who's going to take up the career as a cybersecurity professional?
Okay, so I would say that you as a Gen Z, you should always do only what you like.
Okay.
And if at all they opt to be a cyber security professional, then there is just one thing: learn, and learn. So because this is a very dynamic field and it keeps changing rapidly. So now you have to be very technical and understand at the surface level. So this involves a lot of learning, and this will keep you strong throughout your career.
All right. All right. So Latha ji, that was the professional questions what we had asked you. So that's come to an end. Now we'll be moving on to a little bit about your personal journey. Okay. So starting with the personal journey, the first question that we would like to ask you is, what is Latha as a person?
Okay, so as a person, I would say that I am very committed and sincere.
Okay. Okay. All right. To the next question. If I have to ask you, who are your role models?
Role model. So I would say as a leader, uh, when I say, I look at sports, as people who are role model, actually, because, like, for example, I would give an example of Dhoni.
Okay.
Because everybody is aware of Dhoni, I suppose. So basically, you have to demonstrate your skills at grass level. So that is very important. You can't be a leader and do only managerial activities. That never works. So you have to understand in depth, understand, what are the basics and contribute actually. So that is very important. And constant learning is something also that is required.
Definitely. Okay. So you are a great working woman with absolute time management. Okay. So how do you manage personally or your most challenging part of your life? Or you could say, where do you put your heart into work?
So first of all, I would like to thank you for that statement. So one thing is I always plan my day. Okay. So meetings are planned with clients,
Okay.
of course, but there are always unplanned meetings and activities as well. So during COVID, we all learned how to work from home. So
Definitely.
managing, that was a different experience altogether for everybody. So how you manage home as well as work. So that is one experience nobody forgets. Secondly, I always ensure that I maintain a work-life balance.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever there is, like say, I have to meet a deadline, then I ensure that I do that. So I work at nights or weekends and ensure that I complete on time.
Okay.
I don't skip any deadlines. And so how do I do that? So I look at, like, let's say I break up the tasks. So sometimes, I do the reverse way. Sometimes I will start with something which is simple and ensure that, I know this so I can complete this faster. So I look at that and I prioritize the work that is there. So that's one thing that I do. And secondly, you see, in today's world, quality is very important.
Definitely.
You cannot compromise on quality. So therefore, you have to put your heart in whatever you're doing, right? And you have to keep it focused. So that is also another thing that you have to look out for. So that's very important. So you have to plan and prioritize and adjust so that you manage time correctly. So that all these things have helped me a lot.
Definitely. So when we talk about the IT industry, we know that there is a lot of stress, that comes with the job. So what is your funda of reducing stress?
Okay, so I will say I just take things as it comes.
Okay.
I don't think too much about future and I live in the present. So that's one thing which really helps me to manage stress. And of course, see, there is always a deadline and there is always work. Work will always be there and deadlines are to be met. So you have to draw a line and finish it. Like I told you, managing time is also very important. Otherwise, I also go for a walk. I watch movies, I listen to music, and I also sing.
Okay.
So all these things help me, reduce stress.
All right. Okay. So if you could give us one happy moment of your life.
When my daughter was born, so that was a happy moment.
Okay. And one sad moment of your life.
sad moment, I would say maybe sometime a decade back, I had planned like what I wanted to be, and maybe I had it was not moving that way, right?
Okay. Okay. One good thing and one bad thing about the IT industry in India.
Good thing is I have already mentioned that we are growing, and it's a pleasure to work in this industry due to digital transformation, and we are far ahead of majority of the world
Okay.
in IT, right? So, so
Definitely.
it's always an exciting place to work with, and I'm glad that I'm in this industry. So that's the good thing. And the bad thing is, of course, there are a lot of cybersecurity attacks and breaches that are happening here, and so there are no data privacy laws or stringent laws here in India, and hopefully we'll get there also soon.
Okay. All right. If you have to describe Latha in one word, what would that one word be?
Committed.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you have to move on to the next question. So this is like something that we all would be very interested in. How does your typical day start for you?
So I usually spend my day managing house staff and home and work. So typically I do that professionally, yes. So like I told you, when I get spare time, I watch movies and listen to music. And I am also passionate about singing. So that also I manage to do.
Okay. If you would not be working in the IT industry, which other field you would have been in?
So I maybe I would be very excited. So I'm also excited about meeting people and interacting with people a lot. So maybe I would look for some such kind of a different career. Actually, I cannot think of another career because I have spent a lot of time in this IT itself, right from beginning till now. Yeah. So that would be something that I would look at.
All right. Okay, so that comes to the end of the personal question. Now we'll start with the fun element. Okay, Latha. So the first question to you, this you have to think about it. Okay, given the chance, you would have got a chance to go back in time. Like a time travel thing. You got a chance to go back in time. Who's that one person and why you would want to meet that person?
Like back in time, as in many years.
Yeah, many years back. Yeah.
Well, I'll have to think about that. Many years back, somebody who exists.
Yeah, anyone. Yes.
Okay. So maybe I would look at I can't think of somebody who would have existed many years
It's
back.
on you.
Right?
It's on you. Who would? It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be any great personality. Anyone. You have the opportunity to go back in time and meet that particular person. Why? Who and why?
Okay. Actually, I would look at my dad as an inspiration. Yeah.
So you would go back in time to meet your dad.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. As you've just mentioned that you don't think much about the tomorrow and you're more focused on today.
Right.
Say today would be, you have been given your last 24 hours. Okay. What would you have done with those last 24 hours of your life?
Probably, so we, even though like we wish to do many things, obviously you can't do that. But maybe I would like to meet people whom I have not met or spoken to people, whom I have not spoken, or look at that, whom I had wanted to speak and meet people. So that's something that I would like to do.
Okay. If not now, which would be your favorite place where you would want to go and spend your entire day or your entire life at?
Entire day?
Yeah, entire day or entire life. Like we all have a particular place where we want to go there and be over there for like ever. So what is that kind of a place for you?
I would say New York.
New York, okay. Yeah. Any particular reasons why?
It's a very bustling city, and I mean, I have been there, of course, and so the very bustling and a very attractive tourist place as well. So you could see various types of things in the same city, within the same city. Very organized too. Organized too. Yes.
It's a very organized city. So you have even been like to the Statue of Liberty and thing?
Yes.
Okay. And how many years ago, like, you had traveled to New York?
More than 12 years back.
12 years, okay. All right. And the experience, like how you're sharing it, I can see your expressions. I'm like, you're just waiting. I'll get the ticket, I'll leave.
Yeah, sure. But of course, now it is difficult with the visas not available. The US visa line is till 2025, right? Waiting list in India is the highest.
It is the highest. Okay. So the last question for you. Okay. Are you a tea person or a coffee person?
I'm a coffee person.
Okay. Any particular reason why coffee?
So I always been a coffee person right from childhood. So my grandfather also had a coffee business. Okay. I would say that. Yes. So he used to have an imported machine those days, right? And he had wherein they would grind the seeds. So there was a huge machine which would get in seeds in sacks, and those seeds were ground. And I have experienced that smell of that coffee right from a child as a baby till now. So I'm always a coffee person. And so I can even sense that, right? A good coffee to a bad coffee. And I'm also a good, I have friends coming over to coffee to my place, and I could invite you as well. So that's how it is. So therefore I'm always a coffee person. Right. And not a
No, great. All right. That is something that we'll keep in mind. Next time, if I'm truly meeting I have to come for a cup of coffee at your place.
Definitely, yes.
All right, Latha ji, it was an amazing conversation that we had with you. We are very grateful for giving your deep insights for today. And that's it. What is in your end, ma'am? Tell us.
So, thank you so much, Mansoor, for inviting me for this and giving me this opportunity to speak with you. Thanks a lot.
All right, ma'am. Have a nice
I too had a wonderful time with you. Talking
likewise. All right, ma'am. We'll see you in the next episode soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a nice day. Bye.